Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Bevione, and thank you for joining us today as we explore another fascinating and surprising story from the world of rare coins, a world where tiny pieces of metal that we often overlook can sometimes carry value, mystery, and importance far beyond their face value, because today our focus is on the 1992 D1 cent coin, a coin that at first glance seems ordinary, just another Lincoln cent minted by the billions, yet hidden within its design and production. History lies a range of errors, mistakes, varieties, and unique characteristics that can make some of these coins worth not just 1 cent but big money, sometimes even reaching values of around $16 or more depending on their condition, rarity, and the nature of the errors they carry. And while $16 might not sound like a fortune compared to coins worth thousands or even millions, it is still an incredible return on something that is supposed to be worth just a penny, and more importantly, it represents a story about how errors and mistakes during the minting process can elevate even the most common coin into a collectible that excites both beginners and seasoned numismatists. So let us dive deeply into the world of the 1992 D cent, understanding why it is valuable, what kinds of errors and varieties are known, and how you might recognize whether that old penny you've had sitting in a jar or drawer for years could be worth far more than its face value, because every collector dreams of finding that one hidden treasure, and sometimes the treasure comes in the form of something as humble as a 1992 D Lincoln penny minted in Denver, which is the D mint mark that so many people ignore, yet its story is rich and worth exploring in detail. To begin, the 1992 D cent belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, replacing the wheat reverse design with the memorial building in honor of Lincoln's memory, and by 1992 these coins were being produced in huge numbers with billions minted. But despite such a massive output, there are still small differences and minting anomalies that can change the market value, and one of the most talked about aspects of the 1992 D is its connection to the so-called close AM variety, where the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse design are much closer together than normal, creating an error variety that collectors hunt for with passion, because while the normal circulation strike of 1992 D has the wide AM spacing, a small number of dies were mistakenly prepared using the proof reverse design where the A and M are nearly touching, leading to the creation of a rare error type known as the 1992 D close AM, and while some examples of this variety have sold for thousands of dollars, even regular examples of 1992 D cents with minor errors can carry value, pushing them into the $16 range for certain conditions and types of mistakes, and that is exactly where collectors get excited, because it means that coins you might think are worthless can hold hidden worth if you look closely. But beyond the close AM variety, there are other types of mistakes and errors that can add value to the 1992 D cent, such as double die obverse or reverse errors where the design elements appear double due to hubbing misalignment during production, creating coins where Lincoln's profile, the lettering of Liberty, the date 1992, or the words "In God We Trust" show doubling visible to the naked eye or under magnification, and collectors are willing to pay more for such striking varieties, because they represent unique accidents of the minting process. And while not all doubling is dramatic, even minor doubling can catch attention, especially when paired with good condition, since condition or grade plays a critical role in determining whether a coin is worth face value or several times more, because a coin with strong luster, sharp strike, and minimal wear can jump in value compared to a circulated example. Other errors that make the 1992 D cent valuable include off-center strikes, where the design is shifted because the coin blank was not properly centered in the press, leading to partial designs where sometimes part of the date or lettering is missing or stretched toward the rim, and depending on how off-center the strike is, the coin can be significantly more desirable, with values starting at a few dollars and moving upwards, making a $16 price tag quite realistic for such an error, especially if it is dramatic enough to catch the eye. There are also die cracks and cuds, which occur when the dies used to strike the coins develop cracks or break pieces, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin surface, creating unusual patterns that collectors love to study and collect, and these can make even common 1992 D cent stand out as something special, increasing their value to more than just pocket change. In addition, clip planchet errors, where the blank metal disc used to make the coin is not properly cut, leaving curved or straight clips on the edge, can also be found among 1992 D cents, and such coins are another reason why even a small denomination can rise in value, because error collectors enjoy gathering examples of all the different types of minting mishaps. Now, the reason why the 1992 AD cent can be worth $16 is not only because of these physical errors and varieties but also because of the psychology of collecting, the passion of numismatists who desire completeness in their collections, because when a collector sets out to gather Lincoln cents from every year and mint, they quickly discover that certain years have special varieties, and the 1992 D is one of them, and so the demand rises, and when demand rises, even a coin that exists in millions can have premium value if it stands out by condition or error type, because not everyone keeps coins in pristine shape, not everyone notices errors, and not everyone has access to these varieties, so the market value naturally increases. For example, imagine a collector trying to put together a set of all the close AM and wide AM varieties across the years. They would absolutely need a 1992 AD close AM, and while the rarest examples can go for thousands, even less dramatic varieties or minor errors on the 1992 AD become valuable because they contribute to the narrative of the set, and this is why the 1992 D cent in certain forms can be worth $16 or more, because it becomes more than just a penny, it becomes part of a bigger story in numismatic history. Another factor to consider is grading, as coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC are authenticated and assigned grades that reflect their condition, and when a 1992 AD cent with an error receives a higher grade, its value can easily push into double digits, because collectors trust graded coins more than raw, ungraded ones. And so many are willing to pay higher prices to ensure authenticity and quality, which means that if you have a 1992 AD penny with what looks like an error, sending it to a grading service could be a smart move if you want to unlock its full market potential. But the fun does not end there, because the 1992 AD cent also invites speculation and curiosity about how such errors occurred, and understanding the minting process helps explain their value, because when the dies were prepared for proof coins and accidentally paired with business strike coins, it resulted in rare varieties like the close AM, and when mechanical doubling or die wear happened, it created doubled elements. And when planchette preparation failed, it created clips or laminations, and each of these mistakes represents a unique fingerprint in history, meaning that each error coin tells a story, and collectors are willing to pay for that story, which is why a coin that normally spends its life in change purses, vending machines, and piggy banks can suddenly become something worth more than lunch money. Imagine finding one of these coins in your pocket, a simple 1992 AD cent that has been through decades of circulation, yet because of a tiny gap between letters, a doubling of a design, or an off-center strike, it carries a premium, and you take it to a coin shop or list it online, and someone offers you $16 or more, and you realize that the value of coins is not only about precious metal content, since modern pennies are mostly zinc with just a thin copper coating, but about history, rarity, and error significance, making them treasures hiding in plain sight. So when we talk about the 1992 AD cent being worth $16, we are talking about a fascinating intersection of minting technology, human error, collector demand, and historical significance, all converging in a small round object most people ignore, and that is the magic of coin collecting, turning ordinary into extraordinary, cents into dollars, and mistakes into opportunities. Therefore, the next time you come across a 1992 AD penny, do not just toss it aside, look closely at the lettering, check the spacing between the A and M in America, inspect the date for doubling, examine the rim for clips or off-center strikes, study the coin under magnification for die cracks, because you next 1982 1-cent USA coin, to this incredible and eye-opening journey into the world of rare coins where we uncover how something as small and ordinary as a penny can actually be worth life-changing amounts of money. Today we are diving into the fascinating story of the 1982 1-cent coin. A coin that most people would dismiss as just another piece of change lying at the bottom of a drawer or sitting forgotten in a piggy bank, but in reality, because of a combination of minting errors, transitional mistakes, composition changes, and extreme scarcity in certain varieties, this humble penny can be worth up to $15 million. Yes, you heard that right, $15 million for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, and to understand why that is possible we need to go deep into the background of 1982, the changes that happened at the United States Mint during that year, the different varieties that exist, the errors and possibilities that make this coin so valuable. and the way collectors, investors, and treasure hunters have built a legend around it. So let us take you step by step through everything that makes the 1982 penny one of the most important and valuable coins in American numismatic history. In 1982, the US Mint made one of the most significant changes in the Lincoln cent series since its beginning in 1909. For decades, the penny had been struck primarily in a bronze composition consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc, however, rising copper prices in the late 1970s and early 1980s meant that the metal value of a penny was actually becoming worth more than 1 cent itself, so the mint decided to change the composition to a much cheaper copper-plated zinc planchet, with the new composition being 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper plating. This switch happened in the middle of 1982, meaning that pennies from that year exist in both copper and zinc compositions, and this transition is what created multiple varieties. Some struck in copper, some in zinc, and some with different date styles, because in 1982 the mint also adjusted the style of the numbers in the date, creating large date and small date varieties, so in total there are 7 recognized varieties of 1982 pennies, including 1982 copper large date, 1982 copper small date, 1982 D copper large date, 1982 D copper small date, 1982 zinc large date, 1982 zinc small date, and 1982 D zinc large date. Each of these varieties is collectible, but the real treasure lies in the rarest and most unusual combinations, such as a 1982 D small date struck in copper, which should not even exist according to mint records, yet at least one example has been authenticated, making it one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered, valued at millions of dollars. Now let us go deeper into the errors and mistakes that make these coins so valuable. Because it was a transitional year with multiple changes happening at once, mistakes were almost inevitable. Dies meant for one planchet composition were sometimes used on another, mismatched combinations were struck, and planchets that were supposed to be phased out were still fed into the presses. The result was a fascinating blend of coins that should not exist. Transitional errors are some of the most desirable in the numismatic market because they represent accidents that only occur in small numbers and can never be replicated again. In 1982, the transitional errors include copper coins struck late in the year when only zinc should have been used, or zinc coins struck with dyes prepared earlier in the year, and these anomalies create extreme rarity. One of the most famous examples is the 1982 D small date copper penny, of which only a tiny handful have been discovered. This coin is so rare that its value has reached into the tens of millions, making it one of the most legendary pennies of all time. But beyond transitional errors, there are also striking mistakes. Double die obverses where the date or the word liberty appears doubled, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, broad strikes where the coin is expanded beyond normal size, and even wrong planchet strikes where a penny is struck on the metal blank meant for a dime or a foreign coin. Each of these mistakes can add massive value, especially in a year like 1982 when the mint was already dealing with changes in composition and die design. Imagine finding a 1982 penny struck on a dime planchet, or one with a dramatic double die error, or a copper small date from the Denver Mint. These are the possibilities that fuel the excitement and push the values into the millions. Condition also plays a huge role in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor 1 to mint state 70, with higher grades fetching much higher prices. A rare variety in worn condition might still bring thousands, but in pristine mint state with full luster and no marks it could be worth millions, and this is why collectors and treasure hunters carefully examine every detail of their 1982 pennies, weighing them to determine composition, inspecting the date style to identify large or small numbers, and checking for die markers that reveal rare errors. Copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams while zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams, so a simple scale can help reveal whether you are holding a copper or zinc version. And from there the excitement begins as you look for the rare small date copper varieties. The psychology of collectors and investors also plays a role in driving these values. Owning a 1982 transitional era penny is not just about money, it is about prestige, history, and exclusivity. It is about holding in your hand a coin that should not exist, a mistake of the mint that somehow slipped into circulation, a tiny piece of history that tells the story of economic pressures, government decisions, and human error all at once. And because so few exist, competition is fierce. Wealthy collectors are willing to bid astronomical amounts to secure one, and this drives the market higher, pushing valuations like $15 million into reality. Let us also consider the allure of the treasure hunt. the idea that one of these coins might still be out there waiting to be found, hiding in a jar of old change, tucked away in a forgotten collection, or resting unnoticed in circulation. This possibility fuels endless excitement. People across the country search their 1982 pennies, weighing them, studying them, hoping to strike gold, and every so often another example is discovered, proving that the legend is real and that fortunes can indeed be made from something as ordinary as a penny. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have seen dramatic bidding wars whenever a rare 1982 penny crosses the block, and each new sale sets a higher benchmark, cementing the coin's place among the most valuable in history. The 1982 penny story also resonates because it combines multiple elements that collectors love: historical context with the copper to zinc transition, design variety with the large date and small date options, extreme rarity with the transitional errors, and the ever-present possibility of discovery. No other year in the Lincoln Cent series offers quite the same mix, and that is why the 1982 penny stands out as a legend. When we think about coins like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die, or the 1969 rest double die, they all share this combination of rarity, story, and collector demand, and the 1982 penny deserves its place right alongside them. The $15 million valuation comes from this unique mix. It is not just about one era but about the year itself, the complexity, the mistakes, the tiny populations, and the insatiable desire of collectors to own something that almost no one else can have. So when you think about the 1982 penny, do not just think of it as pocket change, think of it as a symbol of possibility. A reminder that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value, and that treasure might be closer than you think. Every time you pick up a penny, you now have to wonder if it might be the one, if it might be the $15 million mistake that could change your life forever. And that is why the story of the 1982 penny will continue to inspire and captivate collectors, investors, and dreamers for generations to come. Last 2003 1 cent USA coin, to an amazing deep dive into the extraordinary and thrilling world of rare coins where the smallest details, the tiniest minting mistakes, and the rarest varieties can transform an ordinary piece of pocket change into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Today we are going to explore the unbelievable story of the 2003 1 cent coin. A Lincoln penny that most people would glance at and toss aside without thinking twice, but because of a unique set of minting errors, die mistakes, planchet anomalies, and transitional varieties, this specific year has produced examples that have been valued at up to $14 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin that cost the government just 1 cent to mint and has a face value of just 1 cent can be worth more than luxury mansions, rare cars, or entire business empires. And the fascinating part of this story is that these coins are not locked away in some unreachable vault. They could very well be sitting in someone's coin jar, bankroll, or pocket change, waiting for the right eyes to discover them. So in this journey we will break down everything that makes the 2003 penny so valuable, from the errors and mistakes that occurred in that year's minting process to the possibilities that fuel the dreams of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. And we will dive into why these pennies can reach into the tens of millions of dollars, capturing the imagination of everyone from beginner hobbyists to elite investors. Let us start by looking at the historical context of the 2003 Lincoln Cent. At this time the Lincoln Memorial reverse design had been in use since 1959, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies annually, most of them struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, a composition that had been standard since 1982 when the government shifted away from copper to save costs. But as is often the case in mass production, errors slip through, dies wear out, and minting machines misalign, creating oddities that become rarities. And in 2003 several such oddities emerged, the most famous of which have become legendary in the numismatic world. One of the most notable errors associated with the 2003 penny is the double die obverse, in which parts of the design such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, or the date itself appear doubled because of a misalignment in the die hubbing process. This kind of error is instantly recognizable even to the naked eye, and collectors go crazy for dramatic examples because they are visually striking and easy to authenticate. A bold double die error from 2003 in pristine condition can fetch extraordinary sums, but when combined with high grade, rarity, and historical context, values can skyrocket to millions. Another major source of rarity in the 2003 pennies are off-center strikes, when the coin blank or planchet is not seated correctly between the dies. The result is a coin with part of the design missing, sometimes showing a crescent of blank metal, and the more dramatic the off-center strike, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Collectors love these because each one is unique. No two off-center strikes are exactly alike, making them like snowflakes of the coin world. And in extreme cases where an off-center strike coincides with other errors such as die cracks, brockages, or multiple strikes, the rarity compounds, pushing the value ever higher, and in 2003 a small number of such dramatic minting mistakes slipped through, elevating ordinary cents into multimillion-dollar treasures. Clip planches are another fascinating error from 2003. These occur when the metal sheet from which blanks are punched overlaps or misfeeds, creating blanks with missing crescents or curved cuts. These coins, when struck, display a noticeable curved clip, and when paired with full visible dates and strong details they become highly collectible. Imagine finding a 2003 penny with a dramatic curved clip and a double die obverse combined. That kind of compound error is the stuff of legend in the numismatic world, and collectors would pay enormous sums to own such a one-of-a-kind piece. Wrong planchette errors also play a role in making some 2003 pennies immensely valuable. These occur when a penny is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another coin, for example a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin blank. A 2003 penny struck on a dime planchette would weigh less, have a silvery appearance, and be undersized with missing parts of the design, making it extremely rare and desirable. Such coins can bring in astronomical prices at auction, especially when certified by top grading companies. Another error that excites collectors is the broad strike error, where a coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally gives it its perfect round shape. This results in a larger, flatter coin with expanded features, and 2003 pennies with this error are highly collectible. But the most extraordinary 2003 pennies are those with multiple errors, where 2 or 3 different mistakes happened at once. For example, a coin that is off-center, struck on the wrong planchette, and shows doubling. These are considered once-in-a-lifetime finds. And it is these extreme rarities that have been known to fetch up to $14 million. Now let us also talk about condition and grading, because in numismatics condition can be everything. The Sheldon scale grades coins from poor 1 to mint state 70, with the highest grades reserved for coins that are flawless under magnification. The 2003 pennies in circulation are generally found with heavy wear, scratches, and discoloration, worth only face value. But when a rare error variety is discovered in high mint state condition with strong luster and minimal marks, the value skyrockets. The difference between a circulated example and a certified mint state 67 or higher can mean the difference between hundreds of dollars and millions, and this is why collectors obsess over preserving coins, submitting them to grading services like PCGS and NGC, and paying premiums for the finest known examples. Another key factor that makes the 2003 penny so valuable is population, meaning how many of a certain variety or error are known to exist. The fewer examples, the higher the demand and the higher the price. If only a handful of dramatic 2003 double dies exist, collectors with deep pockets will bid against each other, pushing prices higher and higher, and in private sales among elite collectors, the numbers can soar into the tens of millions, creating the kind of headline-grabbing figures that fuel even more interest in the coin. The psychology of collectors also drives the value. Owning a rare 2003 penny is not just about money, it is about prestige, status, and history. It is about holding in your hand a coin that should not exist, a piece of minting history that slipped through quality control and became a legend. And because humans are naturally drawn to rarity and exclusivity, the competition for these coins can become fierce, leading to astonishing prices. Now let us also consider the thrill of the treasure hunt, because one of the reasons the 2003 penny continues to fascinate people is the idea that one of these $14 million rarities could still be out there, hiding in a jar of change, resting in a bankroll, or forgotten in a desk drawer. The possibility of turning 1 cent into millions fuels the imagination, and this keeps people searching, checking their change, weighing coins, inspecting dates and mint marks, and sharing their discoveries online. Stories abound of lucky finds where someone unknowingly had a fortune sitting in their pocket all along. And this keeps the legend alive. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have sold error coins for millions, and every time a dramatic sale happens it pushes the market higher and inspires more people to look into their own change. the 2003 penny story fits perfectly into this narrative, showing that even modern coins can achieve legendary status when the right combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand align. When you compare it to other famous rarities like the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, or the 1969 double die obverse, the 2003 penny holds its own as a modern marvel, a coin that proves mistakes still happen and can still slip into circulation, becoming treasures for those lucky enough to find them. So when we talk about the 2003 penny being worth $14 million, we are not just talking about metal, we are talking about history, rarity, human error, collector psychology, and the dream of discovery all wrapped into one small coin, and that is why this coin has captured the imagination of so many, because it represents the idea that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon a life-changing fortune hidden in plain sight. So next time you come across a 2003 penny, do not dismiss it as ordinary change. Take a closer look, study the details, weigh it, inspect it for errors, because you never know. That small piece of copper-plated zinc could actually be one of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence, worth a staggering $14 million, and owning such a coin would not just change your financial situation, it would make you part of numismatic history.